Hi everybody, this is a look at the Minolta Hi-Matic 7S, which was released in 1966, and it's a fixed lens rangefinder camera, and at that time there's quite a few available from different companies, i.e. Canon, Yashica and Konica, and it's not a compact camera by any means. And if I compare it to a SLR available at that time, which was the Nikon F, you can see it's actually not much smaller at all, and it does weigh a bit as well. It's 720 grams, but obviously it was a lot cheaper than an SLR, and Minolta made this one fully automatic as well as regard the exposure. I'm just going to go over its controls and features and hopefully tell you a few things about it. It does have a built-in meter, and that requires a battery. Fits in the bottom. It's a PX625 cell, and at the time when the camera was released it would have been a mercury cell, which was 1.35 volts, but nowadays you'd use an alkaline one. The light sensor is on the front of the lens, and the lens is a 45mm f1.8, which was quite fast for the time, and the cell is in the front of the lens there. And Minolta incorporated their CLC system in this rangefinder camera for the first time, which stands for Contrast Light Compensator, and that uses two CDS cells to read the incoming light and can apparently determine high contrast areas, so to give you a more better exposed image. Apparently it does work very well. Now, to insert the film, you release the back via this little lever here, which pops open the back, and you pop the film in, pull the leader over and insert about half an inch into one of the slots, and you advance the film to engage the film into the sprockets here, and then you can close the back. You would then set the ASA film speed correctly for the film, and this setting is on the lens barrel here underneath, and it ranges from 25 ASA up to 800 ASA. And there is an off setting here as well, because if you're not going to use the camera for a while, you would move that little switch across to off, and it disengages the meter completely. But obviously, just temporarily while using the camera, if you put the lens cap on, because the cell is at the front of the lens here, put the lens cap on, that cuts all the light to it, so obviously that saves your battery as well, so you don't have to keep flicking it to the off setting. So you fitted the film, you've got a frame counter on the top here which resets every time you open the back. This is the film advance lever, which advances the film, cocks the shutter and advances the frame counter. The shutter release is here, and it has a threaded centre for a cable release. So once you've wound the film on once, you fire the shutter, and then you wind it on another couple of times until the frame counter gets to 1, and then you're ready to shoot the first frame. Now, Minolta incorporated another system which they called SLS, for safety loading signal, and it's here. There's a little slot here, and when you've got a film fitted and it's wound on correctly, you'll see a little red symbol here that shows that the film is loaded correctly. Moving across, you've got a hot shoe. The previous model before this, which was the Hi-Matic 7, didn't have a hot shoe, it just had a code shoe without a contact. So you can fit a flash bulb system with a sync socket or an electronic flash. Electronic flash will fire at any shutter speed. With bulb flash you need to set to 1/30 of a second. And if it hasn't got a contact on the flash itself, then you would use the PC sync socket, which is here at the side of the lens. Now, this camera can work in fully automatic exposure mode, and what you do is you've got two controls around the front of the lens here. The front one is the shutter speed, and the second ring is the aperture. And what you do is you set both of those controls to A for automatic against this index line here, and the camera then works in fully automatic mode, and it will set any exposure according to the light from 1/15 of a second up to 1/250 of a second, and an aperture of from 1.8 to f/22. And it uses in the viewfinder, if you look through it, you will see a needle, and I'll show you this on the, I've got the manual for the camera here, give you an idea what you see through the viewfinder. And what you see is on the right hand side here there is a EV scale, because instead of showing you what aperture or shutter speed set, it shows you the EV setting, which is the exposure value, and that is the same for any camera. The exposure value is based on the light intensity and the ASA speed of the film. So the needle shows you as long as it's within the range, not in the red, as long as it's within this range, then the automatic feature will work and give you the correct exposure. Obviously the lower value is a lower light level. Also, looking at this image, you can see that there is a frame guide to show you what will actually be on the film, and this is parallax corrected as well, so as you focus the lens, these lines shift to adjust correctly to show you what you will get on the film. Also in the middle is the rangefinder spot, and again when you focus in, this spot adjusts, and when you see that the image is one image rather than two separate images, then you know it's in focus. The focusing is control, well, you generally use this slider here on the bottom of the lens, but obviously you grip that with your finger as you're holding the camera. And you do have scales in meters on this side, and the focusing goes from infinity down to 0.9 meters or 3 feet, and on this side it shows you that same in feet, so that's a nice little feature. So in automatic mode it works like that. If you want, you can use it in manual mode by disengaging the automatic system, and what you do is you press this little button here, and you can then disengage the shutter button first and then disengage the aperture setting, and you can set that to anything you want then, obviously, and the range then is from B for bulb, quarter of a second, eighth of a second, as well as all the other speeds up to then 500ths of a second that you can set manually, and you've got the aperture range. And what you would do in manual mode is you'd look through the viewfinder, check that EV reading, and there's a little window on the side of the lens here which shows the EV value. So what you get in the viewfinder, set that value on there, just in the aperture and shutter speed, until it sets it correctly. So for example, if it's EV10, the moment it's showing EV11, I can adjust one of the settings to show me EV10 in here, and then I can look at what shutter speed and aperture I've got set. In this case it's 1/15 of a second at f8, but if I want a faster shutter speed or a different aperture, I can adjust them. And the beauty of this system is you can adjust them together by holding both rings. You can move and adjust both together, so it gives you the same exposure but with different settings. That's a very nice feature as well with this camera. There's also a self-timer, and the self-timer doesn't work in auto mode, it only works in manual mode, and with that you just got a little switch on the side here, a little lever. You just push that, you have to have the shutter cock first, and you can flick that across. Sets the self timer, so when you press the shutter it counts down about 10 seconds and fires the shutter. Just looking at the front here, you can see that's where the rangefinder, that's the rangefinder window which superimposes onto your viewfinder. You've got some strap lugs. At the bottom you've also got a tripod socket, and when you get to the end of the film you can press this little button here which releases the sprocket, so you can lift up the rewind lever and turn the crank to rewind the film. So, very nice camera. So I've yet to use it with film, and they did in 1977 release the S7S2, which, as you can see, is a lot smaller, because in the 70s that what was happening. Things were getting smaller, bringing out smaller cameras, and people wanted, a lighter camera that could fit in a jacket pocket. Whereas obviously this is a lot bigger, but it does miss out on some of the features. You don't get any metering from the built-in meter when you take it off of auto, and the viewfinder isn't parallax corrected for when you focus as well, so it does lack some of the features. So there you go, that's a nice look at the Minolta Hi-Matic 7S. This is, as you can see, obviously the black one, which is in very good condition. It's got a little odd mark on the front here, and very slight brassing on the bottom, but very rare to find in black in very good condition like this. Thanks for looking, and hope to catch you soon with another video.